Abby.
And I'm Caitlin, and today we will be discussing some of our favorite Dramione fanfics, as well as the new Hogwarts Legacy game.
I'm very excited. Dramione is one of my favorite ideations of like the Harry Potter universe. You don't see a ton though, but I love seeing like all of the mix and match like pictures of like Draco Malfoy and Hermione and like all the fan art that's been done of it. So I was
Oh, the
super
fan
excited to start
art.
reading some of the
The fan
fanfics
art is
written.
amazing. Also, I know that we've already talked about this before, but we're just so disappointed that Draco did not canonically have a redemption arc. And also, we kind of hate Ron Weasley. And so this
Yeah.
is just so much better, in our opinion, to live in a universe where Hermione is the reality.
And we do also once again want to preface that we do not support J.K. Rowling.
Yeah.
However, we do love the characters she's created and some of the things that have spun off of this series.
Yeah. Like, okay, her art, we like her art. She sucks.
She's
It's
a
just,
bad
it's
person,
facts. Yeah. Maybe she'll redeem herself one day, but she's certainly not trying.
but we did like to throw that out there. So don't come for us, please and thank you. So let's start with the Dramione fanfic picks. I went with some short ones. I had to turn to our good friend TikTok to find some because I had been going through some long ass fan fictions and I just couldn't do it. So I did go with some shorter, a little spicier ones, and I
I
wasn't
love,
disappointed.
yeah.
I would like to say that I fucking love that in all of these, like she's left Ron Weasley either because he's like a freaking moron or pathetic and like, or just like doesn't like perform well sexually. And that just cracks me up.
Yeah. That's the gospel truth.
That's the gospel truth. So the first one I chose is called Ardent Bonds by Music. It's Musyc, and it's from Archive of Our Own. So the summary is pretty short. It is definitely a dark romance, heavy on like the
Yes.
BDSM side of things. So maybe it was wrong to think about this. Maybe it was horrible to even consider. But if Draco Malfoy liked to dominate, she couldn't stop herself from picturing him.
God damn.
So this story pops off right from the beginning. We get like a little bit of like intro, and I guess this is actually part 3 of some Dramione chapters that she's been working on.
Okay.
So this is chapter 3. It's just one chapter. It's almost 17,000 words, 16,741 words, so pretty short. Some of the I would call them kinks, I guess, that you'll see throughout this obviously is BDSM. You do have bondage and shibari specifically, so that is like the intricate knot tying. Your dom sub category, panking, spanking, and flogging, delayed gratification. It's a workplace romance. You get a little bit of everything. That really packs a punch in a short amount of time.
Amazing.
So this kind of follows the years later after like the aftermath of the Battle of Hogwarts. So they actually do reference it quite a bit because she is embarrassed that she like wants this from Draco Malfoy, who is supposed to be, you know, her enemy after everything.
Yeah.
So I really, really liked that, you know, they reference that all of the students are basically working at the ministry. I guess the ministry hires everybody after Hogwarts. But I did really like Draco's character. It was really good to see, you know, kind of how some of that dark side in him manifested into more of like a sexual energy. He's really
Makes sense.
scary,
He's got some
but
really repressed, like, childhood trauma.
it really kind of makes sense for their characters. Like they both want to have kind of like that control and they each like find their outlet in different ways. So I thought that was really interesting. The ending itself, super cute. I like, well, it wasn't cute, but it was really good.
There's
It's like,
something wrong with us.
yeah, like I love that for them. It's probably not everyone's cup of tea, so check your tags and your trigger warnings before starting. But
Probably on anything that's on AO3,
yeah,
check your tags and trigger warnings.
but I think I do prefer AO3 stories over like Wattpad or anything else, just because like there's a little more depth, I think.
Yeah.
to the stories. They're a little more well written.
I do think like, yeah, the quality tends to be higher on average. Not to say that there's not some stellar fics on other sites, but like
Yeah.
it's just it feels like the hits are more common on AO3. Like the batting average is higher, you know?
Yeah. They don't miss, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
But that was Ardent Bonds by Music.
Okay, amazing. So I know you kind of tended to do more of the like shorter ones. The ones that I chose all happen to be somewhat longer, actually. And before I chose these to talk about, I did read a couple other longer ones that I was just not feeling. Like the story
Yeah.
wasn't that great, and I couldn't really get into them. So I actually went to Reddit for recommendations. There's
Ooh.
a couple threads of, people's favorites. So this first one I'll talk about is Recompense by Quick Notes Quim. And the summary says, since the war, Hermione has hidden away from the world, striving to restore her parents' health using ever darker magic. Draco, an ex-con and outcast, spends his nights chasing leads in an attempt to solve a heinous crime. After nearly a decade of dead ends, they meet again, only for their mutual secret to be unearthed, one that changes everything. With any luck, this unlikely pair will put their past behind them and discover love is worth the risk. Okay, so
Ooh.
there's some things going on here. So first of all, this is a complete work, which is 32 chapters long. Word count is about 121,000. Hermione is a morally gray queen in this story.
I love that.
So you know how, like, canonically, she erased her parents' memory. Since the war ended and she felt like they would be safe again, she tried to restore their memory and realized that things kind of backfired on her. Her efforts to fully restore their memory they have not been successful. She's turning to dark potions and dark magic to try to find some sort of solution to bring her parents back fully. And her mom has more of an intact memory than her dad does. Her dad's like really just kind of like not back to normal. But her
Hmm.
mom has like these days of lucidity. But on the days that she is lucid, she is so angry and like betrayed that Hermione did it in the first place. And she basically is like, I want to die. Like it's horribly dark.
Oh my God.
And so
So
Hermione
like
is distraught.
so like in this one, like did her erasing their memories like cause them to go like crazy, or like they on
They're
like
not
days they can just
crazy.
remember the
Yeah,
past?
there are days that they just remember. And it's much more common for her mom to remember, but otherwise on the days they don't remember, they're just charmed to believe that they are whatever she charmed them to think that they are, like different people. So that
Okay.
and basically Hermione's mom feels like she chose magic over her family, and Hermione's really distraught. But what is even fucking crazier is at the end of the first chapter, you learn that Hermione and Draco are actually legally married, and they have been for a decade. They got married after the end of the war. It does not give you any like motivations or anything, but it's just like, oh yeah,
Interesting.
by the way, I'm married to Draco and I have not seen him in 10 years. And because she's living in the muggle world with her parents. So that's how it sets up the story.
Oh
So
my God.
it's it's got POVs from both Hermione and Draco, which I love. So the tropes, it is a second chances trope is the tag because they're technically married, but it's not like they broke up. You know what I
Okay,
mean?
okay. So
So
that's
it's
not usually
like,
my favorite.
yeah. So the second chance aspect of it is the fact that they were married but never actually had a relationship, I suppose.
Weird.
So it's like an arranged fake marriage, slow burn, enemies to lovers. And so far, I've read the first 5 chapters. I like it a lot. And I really am excited to uncover like the motivations for the arranged marriage. Cause it's like,
Yeah.
what like was the reason? And like, of course, I want Hermione's parents to be healed. And yeah,
See, I
I'm
think
excited to
like
read it.
I would have just left it as is, like let
Their
them
memories. Well,
just
I think
continue on.
that's kind of the morally gray aspect because I think she selfishly wants them back, you know?
Yeah, I get that.
So it's tough. And at this point, she's used so much unethical magic. I guess it's not like the unforgivable curses, but she's used so
Just
much
like
like
dark
dark
magic.
magic and knows that if people found out what she did, like she could potentially actually like go to Azkaban because it's really
Mm,
unethical.
yeah.
So she's, yeah, struggling.
Interesting. I love that. That's
Yeah.
such a neat take on it.
Hmm.
So the second one I chose is even shorter than the first one. Again, it's just a quick one chapter. It's called The Queen of Lonely Hearts. It's by Raven_Maiden on Archive of Our Own. So it is 6,665 words.
Nice.
Super, super short. So the summary is just Hermione Granger has a brilliant idea for the office Christmas party this year. Her coworker Draco Malfoy begs to differ. So it is just a super fun Christmas office rival Hermione fanfic. And I
Yes.
was just eating that shit up. So once again, they are working for the ministry, but it is definitely more of like a casual type role. So like
Hmm.
it was giving me like the office vibes or like
Okay.
yeah, like
So they just
that
do like paperwork and shit.
yeah. Yeah, so nothing crazy. So basically, they're both just like biding their time in this role until they can move on to like bigger and better things because they have to get like experience. And so Hermione wants to bring in some of her Muggle traditions for Christmas, and so they're having an ugly
Yeah.
Christmas sweater party. But the caveat is she's trying to also be a matchmaker because their department like kind of sucks. And so she wants to like boost morale. And she's basically been pairing up like all the single people that she thinks would go well together.
She's like, here's
And
what everyone needs. Break
yeah,
up with your coworkers in the future.
exactly. But they're all like different departments. So it's fine.
Okay.
But basically, they're both like pining for each other, but like refusing to admit it because, again, like they do talk a little bit about some of like the past relationships they had in school and stuff and how like it'd be embarrassing. There are like Harry Potter and Ron are also in this story. Ron,
Okay.
not so much because she said they broke up and he's now dating Luna Lovegood, which I thought was absolutely bonkers.
That makes not a lot of sense to me.
There's like a lot of like jealousy tropes. There's forced proximity because they work together and like some like office romance, like they bang in the office like semi in public.
Nice.
It was really, really cute. And also Draco kept getting all of the Muggle Christmas characters' names incorrect, and he called Rudolph Rodarch. Rodarch. And that tickled me so bad.
That's so wholesome.
It
Because
was. It was
I forget
so
that like,
cute.
yeah, he wouldn't know any of the traditions. I love it.
Yeah, it was like just a fun little read. It took like 10 minutes and I 10 out of 10 would recommend.
Amazing. So I'm actually going to talk about two more because one of them I did not read, but I just have to mention it. But we'll start with the one that I have started to read. So, and by the way, all these that I found are on AO3 as well. So this one's called Draco Malfoy and the Mortifying Ordeal of Being in Love by Is This Self-Care? And I love that username. I think that's so
Is
fun.
this self-care?
The butterfly.
The butterfly, yeah.
Oh, amazing. So the summary says Hermione straddles the muggle and magical worlds as a medical researcher and healer about to make a big discovery. Draco is an Auror assigned to protect her from forces unknown, to both of their displeasure. So this is another complete work, 36 chapters and about 200,000 words. The tropes slash genres are slow burn, forced proximity, enemies to lovers. We love. And it's also like a rom-com action adventure story. You can tell like the vibes are much more rom-com, which I think is kind of a fun little take on this because normally when people write these, I think they tend to be more on the dark side, which makes sense.
Yeah.
Like I get it. But yeah, this one seems a little more lighthearted, which I think is a really fun take. So far I've only read like the first chapter.
I really want somebody to not even necessarily use like Hermione and Draco like as their characters, but just write something so similar where they like reference like this giant like magical battle, but like their relationship afterwards. Like if an actual book was written about that,
Yeah.
I would eat it up.
Yeah, kind of like how the love hypothesis is kind of Raylo based.
That's exactly what I was thinking. Yeah.
Yeah, they should do that. I would be into that.
Allie Hazelwood, could we
I don't trust her.
commission you?
I don't trust her for that
You're
one.
right.
I need
She
someone else to
messes it
do
up
it.
every time. I love her so much, but also I don't.
I love her so much, but she pisses me off on the daily.
You're right. That's not who I want to do that. Anyway,
The last one I want to talk about is because it's by the same author as another one we're going to discuss. So this is called All You Want by Senlin Yu, Senlinyu. So this is an Omegaverse Dramione fic. At first I was like, I'm not sure I'll read this, but I don't know. Part of me wants to know more because
I'm curious.
we don't know like much of the Omegaverse lore. And so we were actually thinking about like maybe doing a minisode at some point about the Omegaverse and reading a book. But I guess let us know if you if you'd be into that. I did read the first couple chapters. At first, I was just scarred and upset and thrown off by how badly Hermione was all of a sudden trying to bang Neville Longbottom. And I was like, jump scare, like what is happening? But basically, they let her
Maybe he
know
got
that
hot.
Hermione, he did get hot, but he's not bangable.
Maybe he is in this book.
I don't know. I just feel like personality wise, I can't get over how he was throughout the stories. But basically, Hermione is an Omega, which in this book means that females at the age of 19 go into heat for alphas. And so Neville's an alpha. Surprise.
Really?
Yes.
I think that's the most shocking thing out of everything you've said so far.
Shocking and upsetting. And oh, canonically in this story, God, what is the Weasley's dad name?
Arthur.
Arthur Weasley is an alpha and Molly Weasley is an omega.
So maybe like the Omega is supposed to be like the Alpha's like partner. So like maybe the
Yes.
Beta like reports to the Alpha, but the Omega is like wifey material. I don't know.
I'm not positive, but I know that like this says that the omegas and alphas can form a soul bond with each other. So like a mating bond, basically. Anyway, the summary of this one says 8th year at Hogwarts was supposed to be Hermione's. And it is, just not in the way she expects. So I think she's about to
only
be.
went for 7 years.
Yeah, that's the other part that's confusing because this takes place after the war, but she's at Hogwarts.
Does she have to repeat a year? That's embarrassing.
Her other classmates are there too, so she wouldn't be repeating a year. So maybe in this universe, like they have like a college level Hogwarts or something.
Like maybe before they like start working.
Yeah.
It's like maybe it's like an internship.
Hogwarts Uni, but it's 36 chapters and about 173,000 words.
I mean, I'll give it a go.
I am probably going to read it. At first, I was like, I'm not so sure. But now I'm like, I need to know more.
Genuinely curious, yeah, about like the dynamic we have going on in this book.
Just be aware that you will be scared during the first chapter because she is feral for Neville Longbottom.
Jump scare. But Draco is also in it?
Yes. It is a Dramione fic, so I have a feeling that she's
gonna have a soul bond with okay.
Yeah.
Tracks. So then one more book we do want to talk about. Neither of us have read it. However, this is probably the most popular Dramione fanfic ever written. Again, it is by Senlin Yu. It's called Manacled. The summary on this is Harry Potter is dead. In the aftermath of the war, in order to strengthen the might of the magical world, Voldemort enacts a repopulation effort. Hermione Granger has an order secret, lost but hidden in her mind, so she is sent in as an enslaved surrogate to the High Reeve until her mind can be cracked. So obviously this kind of like breaks away from like the real ending of Harry Potter, the canon following the conclusion of Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix. So like the Battle of Hogwarts and stuff doesn't even happen. There is a book though, like I think it was a published book, and there are a bunch of really good illustrations too by Avondale. Is that how you
Yeah.
pronounce it? Armando?
Yeah, those are posted throughout on like where it's published on AO3.
I don't know if you can buy the book anymore. I know some people got like special edition copies like on TikTok, but I
I
don't know if
wonder
it's
if
something
they
you can
have
like
the
purchase.
illustrations because they're really cool.
But this is a completed story. It's 77 chapters. The word count is 370,515. So she's chunky. There are some like triggering tags again, so just make sure you check those. So forced pregnancy, imprisonment, memory loss, rape, non-con, elements, eventual romance, mystery, self-harm, flashbacks, slow burn, espionage, graphic depictions of violence. So from what I know about the book, basically like Hermione is in like a Handmaid's Tale type environment here. So she's like forced to reproduce to up the population for the wizards. She was given to Draco Malfoy, like gifted to him because his family and their involvement with Voldemort, I believe. But eventually they do fall in love. I do know like somewhere along the way she does lose her memory. So I haven't read it, but I have seen quite a bit about it on like TikTok.
Yeah, we'll have to follow up with this one in case we want to like do an episode on it because
I heard it's absolutely just a gut-wrenching, heartbreaking story, so it
sometimes
sounds
that's
pretty dark.
my cup of tea every once in a while, you know?
I love to cry. I
Yeah,
can't do it often, but I do like to do it.
love a good cathartic cry.
But other than that, I'll let you talk about Hogwarts Legacy because I still haven't bought it.
Okay, y'all. Hogwarts Legacy. So right now it's out on PC and PS5. I believe that it'll be released to PS4 and some other platforms like in the next couple months. Basically, your witch or wizard has an extremely rare ability. So it's a very like chosen one storyline. You have the power to see and use ancient magic, which is something that hasn't been present in like the past like 20 or 30 years, basically. So it's an open world role-playing game, and basically you just like run around. There's the main storyline, of course, where you're trying to defeat the evil Goblin General Ranrock and the Dark Wizard Victor Rookwood because they're okay. Here's where it's like a little fucked up because the goblins are basically like they're rebelling for equal rights. It kind of seems like, but they're portrayed as the villains. So I don't know about how I feel about that, but they do be murdering people, which is not the right thing to do, but like
It's like
I'm
very different than what Voldemort was trying to do.
it's just like I just think like I know J.K. Rowling like very much in her books like coded the goblins as Jewish people. And so I don't necessarily love this particular take. However,
Yeah, because even Voldemort, like in the book, like she kind of gave him like the same tendencies as like Hitler.
yeah. And we've already talked about how questionable she is. So that is my biggest complaint with the
Huh.
video game in general. Although I don't think that was the intent.
Seems
I
pretty
could
fucked up
see
though.
I could see how, yeah, it definitely could be portrayed as insensitive. Um, so just, bear in mind, of course, that that is a potential like interpretation that people might have. So I will say the parts of the game that I am the biggest fan of is just the exploring. You get to run around Hogwarts and the surrounding villages and just find secrets. Eventually, like you learn spells as you go because you're a student at Hogwarts. By the way, you join as a fifth year, which is also unique about your character.
Oh, that's
Um,
nice.
you've never learned anything before, and so you're like, oh wow, I'm new here. So you're learning all these spells, you're learning how to fight, you're learning how like Alohomora, eventually you learn and you start unlocking shit and getting into places you're not supposed to be. And it's just like so fun because you can just be like a little like shit stirrer or you can be a little rule follower. Like you just get to pick how you're gonna play. And that's my favorite part of the game is just running around getting into shit I shouldn't.
I need to download it. It sounds so fun.
It's very fun. And you also get to like the customization isn't super detailed of your character, but you do get to customize your character. And you can eventually, later in the game, like go to Hogsmeade and like go to the salon, kind of change up your look, get new clothes unlocked and new cloaks and stuff that look pretty dope. So it's a lot of fun.
10.
Yeah.
Love that.
So I do recommend the game overall. But that wraps up this minisode. Join us next week. We're actually going to be covering Jeanette McCurdy's memoir, I'm Glad My Mom Died, which is a little bit different than what we normally do. We haven't done nonfiction yet on this podcast, so it'll be different. Obviously, it's not going to be the exact same format as normal since there's not really like a plot
or like characters.
But yeah, we'll have some interesting discussion about that, and I'm excited.
And then for the next 3 minisodes following this one, we are going to be covering the STEMinist novellas. Speaking of Allie Hazelwood,
love you, Queen.
So there are 3 different stories. However, you can purchase like all 3 of them in one book, or you can download them separately on like Amazon or Kindle. I think they're like $1, so yeah, not super expensive, but they are really, really, they're good. But also
I like some better than others.
They are something else entirely, is how I'll put it. Very excited to cover them, though.
They are cute. They have aspects that we like, and they have aspects that we don't like, as per usual. But yeah, I believe the collection of all 3 is called Loath to Love You.
Loath to Love You.
Yeah, in case you're looking for that. But yeah, go ahead and get started on those, and we'll talk to you next week. And as always,
let's get lit.